This is a Mayluna Media production. You're listening to Love, Light, and Black Holes. I'm your host, Morgan Garza, here to remind you of your disco ball soul so you can dance with your darkness. If you're sick of love and light spirituality like I was, you're in the right place. We keep it real, go deep, and give voice to your shadow so your light shines even brighter. Enter the void. Welcome back, Shame Slayers and Shadow Sparklers. If you're listening in real time, this is airing on December 17th, 2025, and we are in the midst of the holidays. Whatever you celebrate, whatever you believe, whatever you do but don't practice, this is a difficult time for many. There's a very specific kind of grief that shows up during the holidays, and I want to speak to this as we are drawn within the same way as nature is, which I've talked about a couple times on the podcast and we'll be diving into deep in next week's episode. This is a time for going within, but in our culture and our society in the United States specifically, it is a time of social activity, of a lot of outings, of a lot of things to do and places to be and gifts to buy and on and on and on. And it really takes you out of the medicine of this time, and grief can be a medicine. It's quiet and it's heavy, and it doesn't always announce itself. It just sits in your chest while the world is twinkling and loud and asking you to be cheerful. It can be a really hard time for many, and this is my first Christmas, my first year without my dad, and everything feels different. And I wanted to touch on this during the holidays because it is something that I know so many of us are feeling and navigating and grappling with. And if you're feeling that too, if this season feels tender or confusing or lonely, I don't want to fix that for you. This isn't an episode with a bunch of tips on how to make it through and how to cope. Like, I don't fucking know. I don't know how to get through this yet. This is, like I said, my first year without my dad. This is not my first holiday feeling grief, but this is uncharted territory for me. So I'm not going to sit here and say, this is how you do it. This is where you go. This is how you live. I just want to sit in it with you. No silver linings. No everything happens for a reason. No pressure to feel grateful or joyful or okay. Just honesty and companionship and community. I remember the first time I felt grief around the holidays was when I was 10. Both of my mom's parents had passed pretty close to each other. We were living in Texas at the time, and we had moved from Texas to Arizona. So not only did my entire living situation, environment, and world change, but I also lost my grandparents who I was very close with. And I remember saying to my mom, like, I don't really care about Christmas anymore. Like, it's not the same. And she, being barely 37, 35, younger than I am now, said, I know. I feel it. I feel that too. And imagine losing both of your parents, having to raise two kids, move across the country, and having to keep it together. And I just remember thinking, how is she doing this? And how is she okay? And I don't think she was okay. And I don't think my dad was okay after losing his brother suddenly to a heart attack when he was only 45. And all of this happened before I was 10 years old. And I remember that first Christmas, I was like, fuck it. Like, I don't even care. I'm not even excited. This just doesn't carry the same specialness to me. And at 10, I understood that things had changed in a way that I was changing. I was changing with them. The traditions were still there, the tree, the food, the routines, the presents, all of that. But the feeling was gone. And I didn't have a language for it yet, but what I was grieving wasn't just my grandparents. I was grieving the version of Christmas that existed before. The innocence of thinking things stay the same. The safety of a world where loss hadn't touched us yet. And I, at 10, obviously it is like a pivotal time, a pivotal year in a child's life. It was a big initiation for me, and I grew up a lot that year because this was my first lesson in this kind of grief. I was also grieving leaving South Texas where I loved. There was so much grief going on that first Christmas, I just didn't care. And it was surprising to me. It was shocking. I was noticing this in myself. And this kind of grief doesn't just have to come from death. We can grieve so many different things, from endings you never consented to things that was the last time that you did that thing and you didn't realize it was the last time until the next time it happened, you didn't do it. And all of these endings and beginnings and tying up loose ends can be really hard on the heart at this time of year. And then we're perpetually reminded of who isn't here, and of what we don't want to do, and of the way things aren't anymore, and of the changes that have happened that have unequivocally changed our lives that we won't ever be able to get back to, that there is now a shift. We are on new tracks, a totally new train, and going in a totally different direction. Holiday grief is different because time collapses. The holidays have a way of collapsing time. There's a liminal space between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then Christmas and the New Year. And there's so much that feels like it's sped up at this time of year, that time really does just collapse. And all of a sudden it's this date, all of a sudden it's December, all of a sudden it's mid-December, all of a sudden we're in January. And so many things can get steamrolled by this rapid movement of time. And memories can surface out of nowhere, and songs feel sharper, and smells carry whole lifetimes, and empty chairs speak louder than words. And you're not just missing someone. It's a hole. There is a black hole in time, in space, in reality, and it sucks you in, and it's all consuming. But I think it's really important to feel this, and I'm crying. I might have to press pause for a second. But even just talking about this makes me realize what a difference it's going to be for the rest of time. And we're missing everything. We're missing who we were when they were here. The way things used to feel, their laugh, the presence that they brought to any function. And the way that these people that we don't have anymore have left footprints on our hearts, but not physically anymore. We can't see them. Our brains are literally scanning for them in the environment, and they're not there. And it's so confusing because the heart knows. The heart knows that they're everywhere. And it's so shitty when someone's like, oh yeah, your dad died, but he's everywhere now. Like, shut the fuck up. Not only do I know this because it's my literal career, but also it's not the same, and that doesn't soothe me, and that doesn't help me, and it makes me angry, honestly. But like, the heart knows that they're everywhere, but the brain is continuously scanning for this person, especially at a time of year like this where everyone is gathering and there's so much community and story sharing and all of this, and we're just sitting there like, all right, yeah, this is great, but the person that I want to be here the most isn't. And meanwhile, the world keeps insisting this is the happiest time of year. That dissonance can feel crushing. And so I want to talk about Francis Weller, who is an incredible human. He wrote The Wild Edge of Sorrow. And I was reading him recently and reading his book, and he talks about grief in a way that completely changed how I understand the season. He doesn't treat grief as something to overcome. He talks about it as an initiation, as something that deepens us, widens us, and makes us more human. And that is exactly how I've been feeling this whole year. This year is an initiation into who I am as a person without my father by my side, guiding me and giving me advice and being my soundboard. He writes about how modern culture tries to privatize grief, to clean it up, manage it, put a bow on it, or rush people through it. But grief was never meant to be carried alone. It is a communal experience. I am not the only person who misses and wants and longs for my dad. My entire family, especially my mom and sister and his siblings, are grieving his loss too. And grief was meant to be witnessed, to be held, to be respected. And when I read Francis Weller, something softens in me, because maybe the problem isn't that grief shows up during the holidays. Maybe the problem is that we've been told that it shouldn't. And so I want to read a passage to you from his book, The Wild Edge of Sorrow, Rituals of Renewal and the Sacred Work of Grief, and I'll link it down below in the show notes. The work of the mature person is to carry grief in one hand and gratitude in the other, and be stretched large by them. How much sorrow can I hold? That's how much gratitude I can give. If I carry only grief, I'll bend towards cynicism and despair. If I have only gratitude, I'll become saccharine and won't develop much compassion for other people's suffering. Grief keeps the heart fluid and soft, which helps make compassion possible. I feel this so much this year. This grief has softened me, has expanded me, has shown me what is possible on the other side, what is possible in the realm of duality, of holding both grief and sorrow and joy and pleasure in the same heartbeat. And I talked about this for years in my classes before I felt it this viscerally with losing my dad, that grief and joy can exist in the same heartbeat. And I think Francis Weller talks about it and describes it and names it so beautifully that this really rings true for what I'm personally feeling and for what I invite you to bring into your life if you are still confused by grief and what to do with it at this time. I am grateful that I had the chance to love someone the way that I did with my dad, that I had the chance to have such great grandparents and all of the beautiful people in my life that I have lost. But it is also so difficult to have loved someone like that and not have them anymore. It is a double-edged sword, and life keeps marching on. I remember when I was living in LA, I was 20, and my 18-year-old roommate died suddenly. And it was a shock. It was devastating. It was incredibly tragic. She was so young, so vibrant, so full of life. And one day, a couple days after she passed, my roommates and our friends, the group had gathered at our apartment, and we were walking to Trader Joe's. And I lived in West Hollywood, so Trader Joe's was at like the end of the block. And we're all walking and we're crying, and I remember thinking, how can the world keep moving? I was appalled by the fact that we were going through so much, that our world had stopped and time had paused and everything was shattered and time had severed in a way. And here we were with cars flying by us, people just living their lives. It was so strange to me that life kept moving on the way that it did when ours collectively had stopped in such a way. And I think the holidays carries a lot of that. Like, how can all of these people be so cheerful, going to light parades and soirees and dinners and all of these things, when I am stuck standing here right now? I am paralyzed. I can't move. I don't know what to do. Naming this truth is not trying to fix it. Allowing yourself to just be there, and this is the only unsolicited advice I'm going to give because I'm still figuring this out, is being in it. Because the more that you try to put on a smile and put lipstick on a pig and put glitter on a turd in the holidays, you are robbing from yourself. You are stealing the precious feeling of love, because grief is nothing but love. And if you try to push through that, if you try to put on a smile and pretend like everything's okay, you are stealing from yourself. There's nothing wrong with feeling shattered. It doesn't matter how long the person or people that you are missing or fur babies have been gone. Time is a construct of human creation. It doesn't matter if it's been 10 days, 10 years, or longer. The pain is still there, so letting yourself feel it, giving yourself a moment to just cry and to be in it and to miss them and to think about them and to laugh about all of the ways that they used to make you happy is so much more important than just putting on a happy face and here's 10 tips on how to get through the holidays with grief. Like, I don't fucking know, and I don't want to hear them, and I don't care, because the only thing that I can do is feel this. Because if I don't feel this, I know that it is going to come back around and bite me in the ass. And for all of the shadow work that I've been doing, for all of the years that I've been doing this, I know that the more that you stuff something in and down and keep it away and shove it under the rug and pretend like it doesn't exist, the bigger and scarier and more powerful it becomes. So the more that you try to keep yourself away from the overwhelming, all-consuming black hole of grief, you are going to go flying into that black hole even faster on your next rotation, on your next orbit. It must be felt. You are not broken. You're not failing the holidays. You are not behind. You are not ungrateful. You're responding to loss. You are a human in a very difficult world that really wants everyone to just put on a happy face and pretend like everything's okay. And loss rewires the heart. It literally, neurologically rewires your brain. It doesn't follow a calendar. It doesn't care about the holidays, whatever you celebrate. It takes so much more effort to pretend than it does to allow. If you give yourself 10 minutes of a hard cry, then move on with your life. That's fine. But if you try to hold it in for an entire day when all you want to do is break down, that is so much more energy that you are expending that you really don't need to. You don't need to put on this performance of joy if you don't feel happy. And that's not to say that you're going to become the Grinch or Mr. Scrooge and spend the entire days holed up and turning down everything. If that's the season of life that you're in, fine. But don't let that go on, because we need each other. We need people. Even the ones who just want you to be happy, we still need people. Go and cry and feel it on your own. You don't need to put this on anyone either. And if the people who also lost the same person aren't feeling as sad as you are, there's nothing wrong with them either. You are in your own process. You are in your own flow. You are in your own timing. So there's no comparison in grief. There is not a grief or trauma Olympics. No one is going to win. We are all hurting. We have all lost. It's about being there for each other and not lying to yourself. And this holiday cheer casts a big shadow if it's not real for you, because there's this particular loneliness that comes from grieving in a season that demands happiness. This performative joy can feel so trying, like it is sucking the life out of you. And it can make you feel like you're ruining the mood, or you should be over it by now, or you're doing something wrong. But it doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that you're feeling the wild spectrum of being a human. And that sometimes are going to be more raw than others. And it just means that you loved, and you loved so deeply that you are experiencing the other side of love, which is grief. So permission granted. If this season is hard for you, you don't have to attend everything. You don't have to explain yourself. You can go around the corner, lock yourself in the bathroom, and have a cry if at any point in any function or any situation it becomes too much for you. You do not have to explain anything. You also don't have to make meaning out of your pain. It can just be pain. It doesn't have to be, oh, because they're not here, or because they said this, or they used to cook that, oh, this smell. Like, just let it be. You don't need to quantify everything. And you don't have to honor the season in any particular way that doesn't feel authentic to you, because the more that you perform, the more you are betraying yourself. And honestly, sometimes the most sacred thing you can do is to tell the truth about where you are. Quietly and gently to yourself, to accept it, to say, this is really hard. This really hurts. I maybe didn't expect to feel this way, or it's been so long, this is coming out of left field. Again, time doesn't matter. The ritual is the feeling. So if you're listening to this and feeling tender, I've been crying on and off the entire episode. I'm glad you're here. You're not alone in this, and you're not doing it wrong, because there is no right way to do this, and you don't need to be fixed. Grief is love that didn't disappear, it just changed form. Your heart knows that they're everywhere, obviously, but your brain is looking for them. So that is the disconnect. We understand that energy is not destroyed, it just changed shapes. So if someone is no longer in their human or pet body, that means that yes, they are everywhere. And of course we can lean on that. And there are so many beautiful resources to learn how to look for signs, to learn how to speak to them. Laura Lynn Jackson has a beautiful book called Signs that I'll link down in the show notes that really can open your mind to receiving and asking for signs from loved ones that have passed. The heart understands this, but the brain cannot comprehend. This entire year, I have been in disbelief. Like, how is it possible that he is just gone? And then my heart's like, he's everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. But like, he's not here. I don't see him. I can't hug him. I can't call him. I can't drive over to his house. I mean, I can drive over to his house. It's my mom's house. And I walk in and he's not there. Like, it is so confusing and confounding and just mind-blowing that they're gone. And so give yourself some ease in this, because you're going to continue to look for them. And I know that I'm still in this very new first year of grief, the year of firsts, but I don't know if it changes that much going forward. I think it's just something you get accustomed to. I don't know that it really goes away. And it's something that changes and shifts, but it's always there. So if all you can do this year is breathe and rest and get through the day, do that. That counts. And I'm sitting with you right here, right now. And I am sending you so much love, so much light, and begging you to honor your black holes so they don't consume you entirely. I'll see you next week. Love, light, and black holes. Thanks for diving into the void with me. If today lit something up in you or cracked something open, follow the show and leave a review so we can magnetize more shame slayers and shadow sparklers into this world. Want more? Step through the portal at lovelightandblackholes.com. That's where the wild magic lives. Until next time, dance with your darkness like it's your favorite song and watch the whole universe light up.